17 tagged great white sharks were circling a remote island off California. Then a pod of orcas arrived. The orcas stayed for roughly 2.5 hours. Less than 8 hours after they first appeared, every tagged shark had left the area. All 17 were later confirmed alive. So this wasn't a massacre, it was an evacuation. 16 of those sharks stayed away until the following season. One briefly returned a week later. Whatever happened near that island didn't just frighten one shark. It cleared an entire hunting ground. And an encounter witnessed years earlier may explain why. Southeast Farallon Island sits about 30 miles west of San Francisco, surrounded by deep, cold water. Every year, great whites gather here to hunt seals and sea lions. Researchers had placed acoustic tags on many of these sharks. Receivers around the island recorded when each animal entered or left the area. They could follow the shark's movements even when the water looked empty. Then the tracking map stayed quiet. 7 of the sharks were detected between 2 and 13 days later, near Ano Nuevo, around 90 kilometers to the south. That wasn't a casual change of direction. They had abandoned a valuable feeding area and traveled to another hunting ground. The answer may begin with an encounter witnessed near the Farallones in 1997. Observers saw an orca kill a great white shark. Afterward, the only part of the shark documented being eaten was its liver. For the remaining 8 weeks of that shark hunting season, researchers recorded only 2 more shark predations around the island. The ocean doesn't need every great white to encounter an orca personally. A dangerous meeting may be enough to make the entire area feel unsafe. A great white's liver is unusually valuable. That makes the liver roughly 6 times more energy-dense than the muscle. The liver accounted for about 8 to 16% of total body mass. For a predator capable of opening the shark near its pectoral fins, the liver is an enormous, oil-rich meal. That doesn't mean every orca hunts sharks. Orca groups specialize in different prey and pass hunting behaviors through their social groups. But the groups that have learned to target sharks appear remarkably precise. And decades after the Farallon encounter, that precision became impossible to ignore. Between February and June of 2017, 5 dead great whites washed ashore near Gansby, South Africa, for had large tears near the pectoral girdle and were missing their livers. 3 carried toothrake marks consistent with orca bites. Researchers found no evidence of hooks or fishing nets. The pattern implicated 2 male orcas known as port and starboard, named for the direction their collapsed dorsal fins bent. But there's an important distinction. The pair wasn't directly filmed making every one of those kills. Average great white sightings in the area fell from 6.68 per day to 1.17. As the whites became scarce, bronze whaler shark sightings rose sharply. Then, on May 16, 2022, researchers finally saw the behavior unfold from the air. During an observation lasting about 71 minutes near Mossel Bay, 5 orcas attacked at least 2, and possibly 3 great white sharks. Drone footage showed an orca pushing a roughly 3-meter shark toward the surface before biting near its pectoral fin. Soon afterward, the orcas consumed what appeared to be a liver about the size of an orca's head. Starboard was among the attackers. They circled tightly while trying to keep the orcas in view. Local operators then reported no sightings for 45 days. 1 tagged female was detected around 400 kilometers east only 9 days later. Just as at the Farallones, the attack itself was local. The reaction spread far beyond it. The behavior became even more striking in June of 2023. Starboard attacked a juvenile great white about 2.5 meters long. Port remained roughly 100 meters away and didn't participate. Starboard incapacitated the shark and ate its liver in under 2 minutes, and sharing liver tissue, including with calves. That suggests more than instinct. It suggests a specialized behavior being practiced within particular groups. Here's the strangest part. Orcas don't need to kill many sharks to change an ecosystem. Across more than 15,000 hours of observation at the Farallones, researchers documented 912 surface predations by great whites and only 5 by orcas. The orcas weren't consuming more prey there than the sharks. But when orcas appeared during peak shark season, shark predation on pinnipeds fell between 3.5 and 7 times below the long-term rate. The largest effect came from the sharks leaving. Orcas arrive, great whites withdraw, and the animals around them suddenly face a different world. Sometimes the most powerful predator isn't the one making the most kills. It's the one whose presence decides whether every other predator stays. In 2009, 17 dots disappeared from a tracking screen. They weren't evidence that the ocean had lost its sharks. They were evidence that the sharks were paying attention.